And now for our last stop in Kentucky, at least for the foreseeable future. The Oxmoor Center across the street from the mall at St. Matthews. Together, these two create a strange anomaly for retail. On paper, one of these malls should be struggling, if not flat out dead. Yet, both of them are in fairly decent shape. We've already seen the mall at St. Matthews, so let's go for a walk in the Oxmoor Center. Oxmoor Center came in 9 years after the mall at St. Matthews, hosting its grand opening in February 1971, with old newspapers suggesting a soft opening in August 1970. The mall was built partially on the land of the Oxmoor Farm, of which still stands as a historic center with arrangements for tours and events alike. This ultimately complicated the mall's development legally, but a compromise was reached allowing the mall to be built. Under the development of Windmark Company Incorporated, the Oxmoor Center would open with Shillito's and Stewart Dry Goods as primary anchors, and would even host a second floor that is no longer present today. The interior also held a distinct aesthetic of earth tones, complete with a large circular fountain in the center court. Although the more current look is respectable, I personally believe it does not hold a candle to the few pictures I could find on the old center. As the 80s came around, Shillito's would be rebranded to Shillito-Rike's in 1982, before eventually rebranding to Lazarus in 1986. Meanwhile, Sears would arrive to the scene in 1984 and bring with it an expansion to the mall. And at this time, it seemed like the Oxmoor Center would outpace the mall at St. Matthews. Meanwhile, Stewart's would turn over from name to name from 1985 onward, first turning over to Ellis Ayers, then Ben Snyder's, then to Hess's, then to Jacobson's, before standing today as Von Maur, at least as of the making of this video. In 1989, the mall would build a food court on the upper level, and shortly after would undergo a major renovation to update its image. This would bring in a new entrance theme across all mall entrances, vaulted ceilings, and new escalators. To kick off the 2000s, Gallant's Trading Company would also arrive to the picture in 2001. However, this would be a short-lived store as it was quickly acquired and vored by, Dick's Sporting Goods, of all places, in 2004. Things were relatively quiet across the 2000s, aside from Macy's coming to devour the Lazarus nameplate. But in 2013, the second floor was beginning to fall out of favor, and as such, this led to another major renovation that basically ripped the second floor and the food court out. This would bring in new seating areas, along with a children's play area. Parts of the second floor still exist today, but are either filled in by tenants or await office tenants to fill in the void. In October 2017, Sears, well, I think you know what happened. Liquidation sales followed and would continue until the store finally shuttered in 2018. For quite a while, this anchor sat vacant, but when I arrived in 2022, I could see that the Sears store and part of the mall space would be in the process of being redeveloped into something else entirely. You probably saw it earlier in the video as well. Today, the Oxmoor Center is still continuing operations and continues to coexist with the mall at St. Matthews across the freeway. It appears that both are kept up well by their current owners, Brookfield Properties. While I continue to wonder how long this unlikely duo will last, it appears that the Oxmoor Center is here to stay. For now, at least. Oxmoor Center's interior is quite a modern one, and while I'm no fan of modern contemporary design, this is one that doesn't actually make me angry. It's actually pretty decent in my humble opinion. I particularly like the corridor leading towards Dick's Sporting Goods, which we are getting a look at right now, and once you're in the know, just looking around the mall can make for an interesting game of where did the second floor used to be? I do keep bringing up how this mall is across the street from the mall at St. Matthews, mostly because it's kind of difficult to ignore. Just look at a map and you'll see it. And it does leave me wondering, how much longer will these two malls continue? It appears they complement one another well enough, but something's gonna have to budge soon, especially with the recession in swing. So I'll leave it up to you, the viewer. Which mall do you think is going to falter? St. Matthews or Oxmoor? While we're wrapping up, I could discuss the state of Kentucky as a whole. It's been quite a journey across the land of bluegrass, bourbon, and horses. With 20 malls as a whole, give or take one or two that I may have missed or have closed, the state has quite a bit more to offer than you might realize. Though some days, it feels like most people don't care of what Kentucky has to offer as they hyperfixate on redneck stereotypes, illegal drug use, and the fact that it's a poor state. Kentucky is not perfect, and it does have problems, but I can still recognize some of the good of the state. But with all the malls cataloged to some degree, it's going to be difficult to integrate another visit to Kentucky in a road trip. Maybe more urban exploring and ghost hunting would be the way to do it. But that's enough from me. What did you think about all the malls that Kentucky had to offer, and of the Oxmoor Center in particular? Do share your thoughts down in the comments below as we wrap up. Thanks for having me, Louisville, Kentucky, and thanks for having me, Kentucky as a whole. Until next time, this is Doomie Grunt wishing you and the Oxmoor Center farewell and good luck in this mad, mad, mad world.
Bye.